You won't get anything unless you have the vision to imagine it. When one bank fails, it sets off a chain reaction. Their liabilities are another bank's assets. And when that bank fails, it sets off another domino and another. So what we're witnessing is not an isolated incident. This is a systemic risk. The entire banking industry is at risk right now. And you're seeing banks trade like meme coins right now. So what is the solution to this? Well, we've seen hundreds, if not thousands, of blockchain-based projects being developed. We've seen CBDC projects being developed, R3, Hyperledger. All of this as a whole is the infrastructure for this next financial system.
Yeah, when you look at truly digital money, so I'm not talking about e-money, I'm talking about digital money that could be implemented on a blockchain or a DLT. There are really sort of three main flavors. There are central bank digital currencies, which are issued and backed by central banks on one end. On the other end of the scale, there are native cryptos like Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and so forth. And then sitting somewhere in the middle are stable coins, and of which there are multiple different flavors of stable coins. Our perspective is all will coexist. So CBDC is just part of the ecosystem. Central bank money in most countries is less than 10% of the money available. Crypto is typically less than 1%, and the rest of it is commercial bank money. So
the majority of money in this world is not central bank money, it's commercial bank money. So the bank account that I have with Bank of America and the fiat in that account, that number, all of those numbers added together is the majority of money in the world. So when I move money from bank account to bank account, I'm not physically moving dollars from one bank to another. It's all an IOU system. All banks have IOUs with each other, and they don't even have the dollars in a vault somewhere. They have 6% of assets to back whatever's in your bank account. So if you have $100 in your bank account, there's $6 worth of assets that the bank owns. That could be mortgages, treasuries, whatever.
We're trying to address, with our solution, all of those categories. We've built a full stack solution from a ledger. You can issue either on a private ledger or a public ledger.
Did you notice how he said public ledger? He's talking about XRP. Anytime he says public ledger, he's talking about XRP. So they offer products that make it really simple for the banks to create commercial deposits on these ledger, whether it be private or public being XRP. Ripple's selling products to make it really easy to do that.
And then we built a full stack solution for minting, distributing, transacting, and so forth with digital currencies. Our ultimate sort of vision, if you like, is to help people move money very quickly, at very low cost, and a very sustainable way, both domestically and cross-border. We see a lot of the work that's going on at the moment is really early stages development, thinking about policy, thinking about the technology, thinking about use cases. At the end of the day, CBDCs won't get widely used if the use cases don't provide value. If it's not saving people money or enabling them to do something else that they can't do today. So we kind of think of the basic plumbing as a platform for innovation. So hopefully most of that will be private sector innovating on top of what the central banks build out as the basics.
There's no point to a CBDC or a digital currency if it doesn't provide a use case. If it doesn't provide efficiencies, then there's no reason to have it, right? So a lot of these different countries, they don't even need CBDCs. They could just plug into an XRP ledger type of system for international payments. Now, James also mentions, he specifically says trade, right? If it doesn't bring benefits to trade. We've seen R3, we've seen Ripple, we've seen a lot of these companies laser targeting trade platforms, trade finance. And that's where real savings is going to trickle down into consumers, and that's what's going to be groundbreaking for this whole entire movement. Just by removing middlemen, we would see a breath of life into the economy. Now, if you make it accessible for small businesses to borrow for trade, and there's platforms that are developing this, if you made it really accessible for businesses to borrow for trade, we'd see a huge increase in economic activity.
If I could just add one comment, I totally agree with your points on the efficiency and speed. I think the other thing to think about is some of the actual sort of systems that are used beyond the settlement. So, for example, there's a number of projects looking at securities depositories on the blockchain. So, taking beyond just the currency, but also the blockchain technology as a storage mechanism. So if you get all of those together, then you have a Ferrari with like 3 turbos or something, right?
So they want to do a stock platform that keeps track of everything, right? So blockchains inherently are great for accounting. The accounting mechanism, you can't duplicate stuff on a blockchain. It's only one for one. It's unique. So therefore, the accounting is automatic. If you were to have a stock repository on a blockchain and it's public, that would be the best source of information that you can have. It would be the ultimate source of truth. So an example of this is Dole Foods. Dole Foods issued too many stocks and nobody noticed. So there's a bunch of people that owned equity in Dole Foods. They bought it, but the equity really didn't exist. So the centralized entity screwed up. With a blockchain, that's completely impossible. It can't happen.
Yeah, I think it's very clear that in every instance, there will be intermediaries of some sort. Central banks are not equipped to, open accounts for individual citizens, right? They work with the banking sector. I think we'll see, as Laurent said, different flavors around the world. I think in some of the emerging markets, we work, in all continents apart from Antarctica, and we have, more than 10 active projects, and talking to a lot more central banks than that.
They're on every continent, so excluding Antarctica, but Australia is a continent, so I don't know why I would use that phrasing unless Australia was using their technology. The other thing is they have 10 active projects. 10. So we know Bhutan, we know Palau. They've kind of left us in the dark with the rest of them. So there's 8 more. Bank of England wouldn't surprise me because they've announced proof of concept using interledger protocol. Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority wouldn't surprise me because they also did a proof of concept.
And in every single instance, there is a role for the commercial banks, as distribution methodology, onboarding, KYC, and so forth. But I think we'll also see in some of the emerging markets where traditional banking is not it does not got a great penetration because they don't serve very well the people with low incomes. I think we'll see other entities, whether that be payment providers or fintechs or other startup organizations, that will, they most likely will need to get licensed by the central bank. But the central banks just are not equipped to be able to deal with the retail. I think we will see different flavors and we'll see different sets of rules. I think one of the interesting things is when you start talking about cross-border and you have, maybe within the ECB zone, you have one set of rules on how much currency you can hold, and then in another jurisdiction it's different. And then when you start doing cross-border, how does that all work out? So that's an interoperability topic which we may come on to later, but definitely 100% intermediaries for CBDCs.
We're watching Triffin's dilemma unfold. You're seeing 18 plus countries applying to BRICS that are trying to move away from US dollar dominance, US dollar hegemony. The entire banking sector is collapsing right now. We are literally watching the destruction of an old system while a new system is being built. Reality leaves a lot to the imagination. Thanks everyone, I hope you enjoyed the show. Please take a moment to like and subscribe. If you enjoy content like this, please consider joining my Patreon or my ghost site dmjr.ghost.io.